Aditya, thank you so much for taking out your time for doing this. And congratulations again for making it to the ISB batch for this year. I know how hard you had worked, and when the hard work pays, it always is good. So let's begin by understanding your academic and professional background.
Yes, sir. So I graduated in 2017 from SRM University in Computer Science and Engineering. Post that, I worked with ZS in Pune for 2 years. I was mainly into healthcare analytics there and worked on a couple of interesting projects there. Post which I moved to PWC Diamond Consulting. I worked there for 2.5 years across healthcare and deals projects. After this, I've moved to ISB. So yeah, we have ZS and PWC for 4.5 years approximately before ISB.
Great. Aditya, you were clearly doing well in your career. Why did you decide to apply to ISB? And did you apply to any other B schools as well?
Yeah, so MBA was something for me that was not just about a career switch, but it was also about learning. So this is something that I actually like. So it's not just a method of a means of a career switch for me. So I hadn't applied to any other B school right now. I had given CAT, but couldn't crack ABC. But yeah, from a formal application perspective, this year I just applied to ISB. In case ISB didn't get through, I was planning to apply to USB schools along with ISB next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And given your computer science education background and your, the other experiences, what were the key focus areas in terms of your approach to building your application?
Yes. So my entire focus was on the story. So ISB does get a lot of applications from the IT sector, and that's the sector which has the most competition. And I did not have any extra diversity points as well, right? So nothing there. But yeah, my focus was more on building that coherent story as to why an MBA would make sense for me at this point in my career. Luckily, my background, my work experience, mostly in business development and analytics, helped me jot that down, and I was able to show that clear focus that, okay, I'm a fit for consulting, strategy consulting, and that is where my focus lied. Of course, having stellar essays and interview preparation from you guys helped a lot. So yes. Okay. But the story was some key aspect there.
Yes, concise. And in your essay, I mean, you also just mentioned your plans to transition into strategy consulting role post ISB. Yes. Why did you pick this career goal, and how did you relate it with your past work experience?
Yes, sir. So basically, my past work experience has been in consulting. I have both in ZS and in PWC worked with multiple clients and have solved their problems using analytics. Now, analytics as a field is growing fast, and it's forming a base for not just consulting but for almost every field. Now, every company is making their decisions using data. They don't want to just base it on experience, but they want to base it on actual data. So analytics is going there. Moving on to strategy. When I worked in analytical consulting, I used to churn lots of data, make sense out of it, try to find a business link there, and give my final recommendations. Strategy consulting. The reason I wanted to move into strategy consulting was to understand the broad nature of business. So when in the current work I was doing, I used to solve specific problems and give out my recommendations. But I felt that in strategy consulting, I would move from those finer nuances of business to getting an overall picture of the industry and how that would work. So yeah, moving more from solving problems in an analytical sense to get solving problems for the entire business. So that was my main aim, and that is the reason I wanted to move there.
Right. And you were a re-applicant this year, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
And how significant do you think is the re-applicant essay, and how did you approach the same?
Yes. I felt that as a reapplicant, if ISB is asking you for another essay, it should hold a good weightage, and the even the word limit there is lower than what for what you have for the other essays. So two things there: you have to tell a story as to what you've improved this year compared to last year. The second thing is you have to be concise there, as concise as so fit in as much information as possible, but without you know without exceeding that word limit. So for me, I luckily had two, three good points that I wanted to share. So I had my promotion this year. So that's something I did. I got a very good rating in my office work. I took up two, three initiatives after last year rejection. So that is something I wanted to highlight. Those are I wanted to highlight those leadership roles which might have been missing last year, which led me to not getting an admit last year compared to this year. So,
Right. And how was your experience interviewing with ISB? And what were the key areas of discussion during this interview?
So the interview with ISB was really great. What I felt is if you approach the interview more from a discussion perspective rather than from a interview perspective, you'll be much better off. The panelists were really good people. They wanted to know more about me as a person and what ticks me, rather than just get done with a certain set of questions. Of course, ISB interview has that, and you would know that better than me. But of course, ISB interview has a fixed format,
Yes.
but it's getting to know more about the applicant. So this time I took that approach rather than preparing more from an interview perspective.
Right.
The key questions that ISB panelists asked me were around my prior work experience, were around my current hobbies, were around my future plans. So like, what do you want to do in the next 5-10 years? And again, when I told them about my future plans, they wanted to know, okay, how do you see the industry going there?
Right.
So yeah, that's it.
And did you notice any significant difference in the interviewer's approach, given that you were a re-applicant?
No, sir, not at all. In fact, the interview went as there was no question around my re-application.
Okay.
And there was no discussion around that as well. I had prepared for it, but there wasn't any discussion around that.
Okay. And you went through mock interviews and counseling sessions with experts at ISBmantra. Please tell us more about how the different sessions helped you streamline your thoughts, and how did you see your approach changing through these discussions with different people?
Yes. I believe that the sole reason that I got an accept this year versus the rejection that I got last year. So the sole reason that I got an accept this year is that I had prepared for my interview with ISBmantra. So thank you so much for that. I've written this to Urja as well, but I really deeply appreciate all your inputs and feedback. My experience with ISBmantra was really great. In the week that I got an interview call, the team was very fast. And like when I talked with the team was very fast in scheduling the interview sessions and even flexible to accommodate my schedules. So all these sessions, starting from the career counseling one to mock interviews, just giving me pointers for interviews. So all these sessions were really helpful. In fact, the initial documents that you shared with me, just the list of questions to prepare, just thinking about yourself, right? What are the placement statistics? So these are the questions that actually helped me ponder And of course, after each mock interview, I was able to improve my thought process. I was able to improve the consistency of my answers, and I was able to give a flow to what I was saying, which might have been lacking in my last interview, and which did not led to me not getting an accepted. So that is something I felt ISB Mantra does. They help you structure your thoughts. They help you get that flow, and they help you know that direction. So getting that direction, structuring your thoughts, and getting that flow, and that leads to another. And of course, I would like to thank each interviewer specifically, because every interview was great, and it helped me get to know another aspect which could be improved. So yes, really great.
Great, Aditya. Is there anything you are particularly looking forward to when you join ISB?
Yes. So my given my prior work experience, my prior work experience has been in analytics consulting. So I am very keen on joining the business analytics club in ISB, getting a POR there. Apart from that, of course, exploring Hyderabad. I mentioned that. So exploring Hyderabad, and yes, focusing on my cats. So yeah, because that is something that MBA is something, as I said earlier.
Yes.
I actually wanted to do that for the sake of learning. So yes.
Before we wrap up, what's your advice to prospective applicants, especially those coming from a similar background?
I would say you should know your story. So ISB places a lot of weightage, and this is not just in your essays, but even in the interviews. You should know where you're coming from, and you should know where you want to go in life. So not just a random vague idea, but you need to be really specific about it. So, where do you want to be in the next 5 years? Where do you want to be in the next 10 years? And it can't be just a simple, okay, I wish to do that. It has to tie up with what you have been doing earlier. So that is the kind of direction ISB wants you to have. So just be sure about it. The second advice, and this is something that I learned the hard way, would be, prepare very well for the interview. So you might have an excellent story, you might have coherent thoughts, but interview is the make or break thing. So for the interview, keep your focus, like if possible, take advice from the professionals. If you want to do it yourself, just be very sure that your story is very coherent, you are able to give concise answers there, and whatever you're saying ties up with what you've written in your essays. So be very strong with your story and what you communicate there.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, Aditya. I know that you have a case study thing to do and so many assignments, that too on a Sunday, where people are enjoying Easter. So that's how it is. Thank you so much, Aditya, for doing this.
Thank you so much, sir.